Hi, everyone. Welcome to the American Mussar Community Gathering. This will be our fourth week exploring the soul trait of gratitude. This is a record. We have never gone more than 3 weeks on a single soul trait together before. It's not uncommon for some Mussar groups to spend a month on a single trait, but for us, this is new territory. I have faith and confidence in all of you that we're going to be able to handle it. So we'll begin as we always do with a short meditation. So please relax and close your eyes and take in a deep breath through the nose and hold, and exhale through the mouth and hold. And again, inhale through the nose and hold, and exhale through the mouth and hold. And as you go at your own pace of inhaling through the nose and exhaling through the mouth, if thoughts should come into your head, just observe them and let them pass, like watching a car pass by on the road. Now is not the time for solving problems. Right now, all you need to do is inhale through the nose and hold, and exhale through the mouth and hold. And on your next inhale, say to yourself, Shema. And on the exhale, listen. Shema, listen. In Shema, we're listening deeply, without judgment, without offering advice. In Shema, we are listening with an open heart. Shema, listen. And when you're ready, you may open your eyes. Wow, so many people joined during the meditation. Always such a nice surprise. So, hello to Sue and Paul and Carrie and Kaya and Martin. And I don't know if I said hi to Janet and Shelley before the meditation. So, hello to both of you as well. And I don't know if you could see, I've also been joined by Finn, the spiritual kitty. He wishes to participate today as well, which is just fine. People with any level of background, they're always welcome to be here, even cats. Now, let me see. Somewhere in here, I have a slide deck. I think. Gosh, sorry everyone. It looks like I accidentally closed my slides. Hi, Kate. Welcome. Thanks for joining us. Hi, Harry. Good to see you. Okay. So, just to kind of recap where we've been on our gratitude journey, the first week we discussed the relationship of an abundance mindset and how appreciating what we have makes it easier to practice chesed towards others. In week two, we discussed if you could ever have too much gratitude and opening space to kind of linger and allow more time for relationship. And this was kind of right around the time of Shmini Atzeret, the quote, eighth day or the holiday, one day after Sukkot, where God is asking us to linger and stay a little bit longer. And then last week, in week three, we discussed the feeling of being enough and whether gratitude is an obligation. So for this week, we'll get started. Just to really, this week, as I said in my email, it's going to be very nuts and bolts, the nuts and bolts of how we practice gratitude, what holds us back from feeling gratitude, what are some things we can be grateful for. So we'll start with just a quick share of maybe one person who you're grateful for. Somebody in your life. It could be someone really close to you. It could be someone whose name you don't know, but you always wave hi to them on the street. Whatever works for you. So who are you feeling grateful for? And please don't say me. I know no one would ever embarrass me in that way, but just for the record, um, let's look a little bit wider.
You're on.
Oh, I'm on?
Yeah.
Okay, all
Right.
right. I'm grateful for my friend Eileen, who was the first person that I got close to when we moved to the Cape, and I had absolutely no friends, and she just took me under her wing and introduced me to a lot of good stuff, and I am forever grateful for her.
Wonderful. Thank you. Who else?
I can.
Hi.
Yeah, I'm Chaya, and who I'm grateful for. There's this huge load, but the first person that came to my mind was Rabbi Mark Labowitz down in Florida with the Jewish Renewal Group down there, temple.org. Though I live in Minneapolis, that's why I'm so grateful, is I found a congregation that really fit for me, connected to me. I'm part of a leadership a little bit down there, and it just, even though I stay up here. So, yeah, Mark Labowitz.
Wonderful. Who else? Yes, Sue and then Wendy.
When you asked the question, my mind went to my husband. For 40 years we've been together, and he's a great guy. I was just talking to a friend of mine who was dating, and she was like, "Oh, it's so horrible. You hold on to your husband." And I was like, "Yeah, he's the real deal." And so I'm very grateful. I mean, I can get into details, but I won't do that.
Yeah, we're kind of going top level here. So we have Wendy and then Paul.
Okay, well, just like Sue, it's my husband because he doesn't ever let me say I can't.
Mhm.
He believes in me all the way, and he says, "Do it. You can do it." He's just great.
Fantastic. Thank you.
We've been married for 50 years.
All right. Paul.
Yeah, this is something that came up unexpectedly. I was doing a meditation in a group the other night, and it was my kindergarten teacher, Mrs. Mildred, because she was the person that just enfolded me with love. She had big skirts, sort of typical
Mm,
kindergarten teacher. But I realized that, man, that was just an amazing way to get into school into kindergarten. And she was just always just loving everybody and loved me. And it was amazing how strong that feeling still is, even though I'm sure she's passed by now. But anyway, so I'm very grateful for her.
thank you, Paul.
Yeah.
Martin,
Hi, you can hear me?
I can.
Yeah, I'm grateful for my dad because he taught me the art of speaking to strangers.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Well, my wife is always at the top of my list. But I'm going to give a shout out to the three friends who we all share a group chat called Rabbis, Chell and Melissa and Jill, and we all were ordained together. And it's just a really wonderful group that we support each other as we are kind of navigating these new careers and this new life. So I'm so appreciative for their friendship. Yes, Toby.
Well, I couldn't settle on one. In fact, I've been delaying because I keep going through my head. And so I'm going to give you three. They're my three friends that I worked at the adult probation department with when I graduated from law school. I couldn't get a job as a lawyer because there was a hiring freeze anyway, whatever. But the bottom line is, so I worked at the adult probation department for 4 years. And this was back in the early 90s. And I've known these gals all that time, and we get together to this day, even though we've moved on to bigger and better things, at least once a month, and we commiserate with each other and just love each other. And it's been a wonderful. I'm so grateful every day for their love and their friendship.
That's beautiful. Thank you, Toby. Anybody else care to share? Yes, Kate.
Um, like Toby, there were several people that I'm grateful for. Excuse me. One is my niece, who's only in her 20s and in the 20s stuff, but I'm having a shoulder replacement in January, and I need a ride to the hospital, and she was very happy to do that. So I'm very, very grateful. I have a friend in Montana. I just moved to Chicagoland from there in May, and we just have been friends for since 2008, so a good time. And we just have supported each other for a really long time, and that's we were texting today. It was really cool. And then I was invited to a Sukkot potluck, and the lady who invited me, I'd gone to Yom Kippur services, and I parked way at the other end of the parking lot. She came running out to me. She's probably about 80, right? And she comes and invites me to a Sukkot potluck, and there were gonna be like 180 people there, and I was like, oh my God. Um, but people were so welcoming, and she grabbed my hand at the end of the party and took me back into her studio. She said, I have to show you something. And she just that wonderful welcoming energy. And then last night she called me to invite me over for Thanksgiving dinner. So that was really cool. So I got some good ones in my life.
I'm so glad to hear that. That's such a fantastic image. Someone running across the parking lot to invite you. I mean, that's like,
Yeah.
in Mussar, and when we're talking about enthusiasm, it's like run to do good. I'm going to run and I'm going to take this person by the hand, and that's so warm and welcoming. So that's uplifted all of us hearing that story. Okay, Janet, is that your hand?
Yes. Um, I too am grateful for my husband, but well, I've been married to Alan for 25 years, but I had a 12-year period when I was single. And if anybody wants to know how awful it was, you can read my book. But I'm just very glad that I'm not there anymore. I'm very grateful.
Well,
Can
Janet,
I add one more?
quickly, yes, 'cause we got a lot to cover. So
Yeah, I just wanted to add one more, and that is my wife. Though she's not here this year, or November 18th will be our 40th anniversary, and as far as I'm concerned, she's still in my heart, and she's the best influencer and have the most gratitude for.
thank you so much for sharing that, Kaya. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so let's go in a little bit deeper. So remember that gratitude, again, this is a little bit of review, is our ability to recognize the good. And the Hebrew is hakarat hatov, which is recognizing the good. So gratitude is recognizing the good in our life. It was great to hear so many of you sharing good people who are in your lives. So I would love for someone to unmute and read these 3 reasons from Bachya ibn Pakuda, 3 reasons why gratitude is hard, or why it's hard for us to be grateful.
We are too absorbed in worldly things. Number 2, we ignore the familiar and take it for granted. Number 3, we become preoccupied by bad things. As a result, many good things are left unenjoyed and the happiness to be had from them is tainted, either because people do not recognize the good in it or they do not realize its value. Duties of the heart.
Great, thank you. Okay, so I'm going to stop the share and then I will put this also in the chat. So I'm wondering, like, what steps stands out for you from this? Is there something on this list that you can relate to that maybe is one of the traps that you fall into that makes it hard to um, experience gratitude? Yeah, Sue.
The one that said preoccupied by bad things,
Mhm.
because generally I'm pretty happy go lucky and I see these beautiful sunrises and sunsets and all that. But when something happens, like October 7th or the election, I go into this deep dive and I scroll and I do all these other things that get me out of enjoying the moment or what I usually do. And I find myself, this has happened before, kind of a pattern in my life. I find myself, I look at my like I looked at my calendar today and I got nothing done because, or not, I don't know if that's being grateful, but I was not as grateful as I normally am. And I was preoccupied by that,
Mhm.
what I considered to be the bad thing.
Mhm.
And so
Yeah.
that really, especially this week, that hit me.
Yeah, no, that's something that's very understandable. Thank you. And Sue does take fantastic pictures. And if you connect her on Facebook every day, you'll see sunrises and sunsets as a retired professional photographer. So it's a treat to free photos every day. So,
Thank you.
Janet.
Uh, Yesterday, like many of you, I was not in the best of moods, but I had to do a book presentation at a senior residence, and I realized that my job was to make people smile,
Mm,
and that helped me as well. It was hard because I think a lot of us feel, some of us feel devastated by the news of the election, some of us are frightened. But the world was, as Wordsworth said, sometimes the world is too much with us.
mhm.
And as
Yeah,
also put in the text.
yeah, thank you. Thank you, Janet. Wendy.
My Temple Mussar group met on the 6th. I was surrounded by people who are very, very sad, very, very worried, very, very fearful. And it didn't seem like the same group. We're using Greg's book, and next time we're going to do patience. But I found something in there, and it's in Greg's book. It's about baggage, which is the bad things, refers to the painful things that have happened to us, scars from relationships, disappointments, and outright tragedy. Our baggage figuratively blocks the light from our divine spark and prevents us from being our best selves. When we practice Mussar, we're moving the bags, widening the cracks, and cleaning the windshield to let the light shine through. Not only does our baggage block our own divine spark, it prevents us from seeing the spark in others. Right from Greg's book, I was able to share that. And I don't say that they skipped out of the room happy and all that stuff, but I know that it helped because I saw most of them again today, and they were just right back to their selves and with an optimistic viewpoint. And so thanks, Greg, for that. And I shared you all that because now I'm going to go to the planetarium, which I booked here months ago before I realized the time change was coming upon us. So bye-bye, night. See you.
Okay, thanks for being here,
Bye.
Wendy, and
Bye.
enjoy the planetarium.
Bye, Wendy. Enjoy.
All right, so we're going to move on. Hey, Joanne, good to see you.
Hi.
We're going to talk now about things, and these are leading up to kind of our 10-minute gratitude exercise. So what are things that we can be grateful for? So again, may I have someone unmute and read these things.
Number one, good things. Number two, bad things by finding the good in them. And three, inanimate things.
Yes, thank you. And we spend some time, talking about the number two, well, what is the good and the bad? And
The
we don't need to like, that's one I don't think we should try to do if you're, some people are find the election as a good thing, and other people might think it's a bad thing. And I want to try as much as possible to kind of acknowledge that we're having experience around that, but not to talk about the politics per se. Um, so if something like you're right in the middle of something that's really difficult, it's not the time necessarily to try to find the good that may come out of them. And, during the COVID shutdown, I remember, we're like 3 days in our house and all these people like, well, because of this, we're going to be able to do all these good things later. And I'm like, well, I'm not ready for that yet. I'm feeling really crappy. Um,
yeah,
what about
that's
what about this third one, inanimate things? What's that all about?
hello.
Yes. Hey, Joanne, we don't see you there. Now we can see you, and
Yeah, I'm going through a really tough time right now. Um, Inanimate things. I mean, and I guess like looking at the sound, or a body of water or a mountain, or even a tree. That kind of, well, tree is kind of animate in a way.
Mhm.
I consider it, like it was a breezy day, so
Yeah,
grateful for those things. I was grateful for the breeze and the warmth.
yeah.
I'm going through a really tough time, and it's like up is down and front is back, and I don't know. I have some serious issues that I have to look into further. And I'm very grateful to my son and my friends who've been greatly supportive, but I'm not exactly sure what's going on with me. So it's very aggravated. Not to mention the election. I was very disappointed in that, of course, but okay.
Well,
And
Joanne,
if you,
I'm listening with an open heart, and I'm sorry you're having such difficulty, and we're all
yeah,
we love and support and comfort
thank you.
to help you kind of navigate this.
Thanks.
By
And
my hand.
So we have Alan and then Michael.
okay,
Another way to look at
I'll
inanimate
take
things
this
are
to my room.
all the wonderful technology we have,
Hmm.
just what we're doing right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Thank you,
Uh,
Michael.
I was thinking about my glasses.
Yeah,
Without them, I can't see, you know, there's so many basic things.
yeah,
My microwave that heats up my food every day without me having to really think about it. I flip a switch, the lights go on.
Right.
The bed that is so incredibly comfortable when I go to sleep
hmm
after a long day. I mean, so many things. I'm surrounded by inanimate things that without them, I simply couldn't be the person I am. So that list is pretty long for me.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you,
okay.
Michael. There's a story about the Kotzker rabbi where he's a
Horrible.
19th century rabbi, and he was throwing away a pair of shoes, and one of his students saw him wrapping them in newspaper. And like, why are you wrapping newspaper? These shoes in newspaper, you're throwing them away. And he said, these shoes have served me well. And I want to just give them a little bit of dignity when I get rid of them out of gratitude, for supporting me for the last year or
Wait,
however.
just smoking.
Okay, one more from Sue.
Oh, I couldn't I can't raise my hand.
Okay.
Oh, I'm
Then
sorry. I
we'll
can't
have,
raise my hand. That's why I've been kind of,
oh, I
I
didn't see.
can't
Okay,
find
well, we'll
it.
hear Sue and then we'll hear from you, Kaya.
Okay.
You want to go first, Haya? Go ahead.
It's real easy. My car. I'm
Oh,
so alone in my little house here now that my wife is gone, even though it's been a long time, I feel really lonely. And so for me to get out and be social, be with people, my car.
yeah. Okay, we'll hear from Sue, and it's just next we're going to be doing a writing exercise, so it'd be good to have like something to write with. Um, so Sue.
Okay, thank you, Michael. All those lists of things I wasn't even thinking about, which was wonderful because we need, it's like all those things to be grateful for. And for some reason, it made me think of pictures. I don't know. That's, something that we put all around our house,
Oh,
and
yeah.
it gives us so much comfort and joy by looking at our pictures.
Excuse me? Sure. And you can put some of the soup in with the
Okay, so now that we've looked at some barriers to gratitude and some of the things that we can be grateful for, we're going to do a 10-minute gratitude challenge. So I am going to put up once again a list. For some reason, I thought it'd be a good idea to have my picture up here as well. I don't know why. Sorry about that. Um, but we have our barriers to gratitude. We have the things to be grateful for. So when I say go, and I'm going to participate in this too, I want you to write down as many things as possible. Try not to think about it, just really crank them out. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, go. Okay, the timer has started. All right, 20 seconds. Squeeze out a couple more. Okay. That is 10 minutes. So, we're going to talk for maybe a minute or two, and then I was thinking we'd go into breakout rooms to decompress. But does someone have any sort of comments on what this experience was like? Anything that surprised you? Anything that really stood out? Yes, Kate.
I think I realized, and I never thought of this before, my biggest barrier to gratitude is anger.
Mm,
And, and it could be a totally separate situation, but it's just really hard to get in touch with what is good when I'm really angry.
mm. Thank you, Kate. I'm listening with an open heart. Okay, Martin.
Oh, hi. First of all, on this exercise, I didn't think quantity was more important, but rather just the idea of what I wrote down is grateful for a good health and a happy attitude. And then whatever else shows up, this is a good filter for all those things to pass through. Kate mentioned something about anger. My experience is when I experience something I perceive to be a bad situation, I usually look for the goodness of it, and that usually shows up as it becomes actually a learning experience to change whatever I did to contribute to that bad situation. And then my bottom line is, I think I mentioned this on previous times, is we all have the choice of how we react to anything. And for example, I've been in situations where I could choose to be angry, or I can choose to be happy. And all of those times I choose to be happy. And so that's how I usually deal with bad things that are perceived to be bad.
Thank you. Thank you, Martin. Let's either Paul or Carrie. Looks like Carrie.
I do keep a gratitude journal, and doing this 10-minute exercise so quickly, I realize how many things, how many wonderful things I have in my life 24/7 that give me joy and help me during any kind of bad time, especially when I feel crappy about the state of the world. So it was fun. I enjoyed it very much. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Okay, we'll hear from Sue, and then we'll have a little time in breakout rooms to go in a little more deeply. So, Sue.
I was surprised about how many barriers to gratitude there were, but what I realized was that a lot of them were when I was preoccupied with daily tasks and not taking the time, like we are now, to realize what you're grateful for. And it reminded me that we do that every Friday night when we sit down for Shabbat. We go around and say what we're grateful for. So I think that makes me think that when we're in a funk, that we should maybe stop and say like 3 things we're grateful for, or it's just a really good exercise, I think. So that was what I realized.
Great, thank you. Okay, so when you're in the groups, you'll have a chance to kind of dig a little bit deeper or explore a little bit more. And uh, maybe something you could talk a little bit more like what's something on your list that stood out for you that really surprised you or something you were grateful for? I know for me, one thing that really jumped out for some reason was like my computer. And I realized I probably spend more hours in the day with my computer than I do waking hours with my wife. So that's like, I'm not saying that's a good thing, but it's certainly it's kind of where it is. So, or maybe also how did this impact your mood? Just getting this doing this exercise. So, where is here it is. Okay, so the rooms are open. Maybe 8-ish minutes or so. Hey, just a little Easter egg in this recording.
Oh, I have. Bye.
Hey, everybody, welcome back. So it was a little bit shorter in the breakout rooms this week because we had a long time kind of writing. So I'd love to kind of hear a little bit about what you talked about. Yeah, Martin.
Well, we didn't talk about anything specific. It's just that we all seem to be in a really,
Yeah, I can hear you.
okay.
Oh, now you're mute. I could hear you before, but now you're muted.
Okay, here I am.
Yes, now I hear you.
We didn't talk about anything specifically, but all of us were in a really happy mood. That's what we noticed.
Interesting. Anyone else kind of feel that in sort of a better mood after doing this experience? I mean, I know that I did. Anybody else? Yeah, I see a lot of nods and hands. So why is that, do we think?
Well,
We shared.
right. I mean, I'm sorry. I feel like I have a lot to be grateful for, even though there's a lot of challenges in life and all the time. And
Mhm.
so just to appreciate, my friends and family and whatever, however I'm coping as well as I can. But
Yeah.
and
I
that's it.
think it was, oh, I was going to say, I think it was really fun to listen to somebody else's gratitude and realize, oh, grateful for that too. So that was, and just meeting somebody. I have gratitude for meeting Kate this time. That was wonderful.
Hmm,
Thank you.
that's great. Yes, Harry.
Yeah. Well, I think that I think the gateway to happiness is gratitude.
Mhm.
There's
Sounds hard.
it's that simple.
Yeah. Hmm.
Let's see, was there somebody else? I thought I saw.
Yeah.
Yes, Sue. Sue, you're on mute.
Sorry. I made a discovery during this process. I had a particularly hard, grateful was not a problem and the obstacles, but the part about finding the good and the bad, when you have something bad, finding something good was difficult. But I did come up with one that I felt very enlightening. It was that my mom, 97, had this accident. She broke her hip and it was awful. But the other side to it was that she can't walk now. So we had to get her permanent help in her house to get her up and she really needed the permanent help. And now she's kind of doing better. She's not trying to do everything. And so I thought that maybe that was the good part of it, that because of this accident, we were able to get her the help she needed.
Mhm. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. It still feels bad, but it's a good thing that she has help.
Yeah. Yeah. It wasn't good that she broke her hip, but it's something good came out of it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of what I think the question was, right? Like
Yes.
finding the good in something bad. Is that what that
Right.
was?
Right.
Yeah.
Not to be an apologist for the bad thing or to try to, there's this thing called spiritual bypass where it's like, oh, everything's rainbows and unicorns and we don't need to bring ourselves down with negative energy if we're refined at a high, it's not that. It's not trying to erase the badness, but it's also recognizing that sometimes something good can come out of it.
Mm. Yeah.
Other observations, other thoughts. I wonder a little bit where we started week one. Some of you were here, all of you heard me, or many of you heard me give the summary that the first week we spent a lot of time talking about abundance. And I'm wondering if the connection is maybe tied, this exercise of writing gratitude for 10 minutes, if it's can be connected to abundance at all.
Yeah.
I see a lot of thanks, Alan. See a lot of nodding heads. Uh, anyone care to how does that all tie together? Okay, so Haya.
No, it ties together because of the lessons you learn from the things that are difficult.
Mm.
And therefore, I mean, I probably wouldn't have learned some of the things that, issues that I have or whatever other things that I've become so grateful for because I hadn't experienced something that generated that.
Mhm. Thank you. Thank you, Haya. Sue.
I think there was an abundance in our group when we talked. Toby and I, we both were grateful for so many things. I mean, I think you had like what, 60 or something really high. And so to me, that's abundance.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I wrote for 2.5 pages.
Yeah.
And sometimes more than one thing on a line, It was I mean, that is abundance. There's a view kind of from the more mystical side of Judaism and the Kabbalistic side that there's a continuous flow of life from the divine, that God's chesed is expressed through just continuous life-giving force and energy and providing all these things for us. And we may not think about things in those terms, but I think we've kind of all come face to face with how much we have in our life. Even at a time which might be for a lot of us a sucky week. And if this week isn't sucky, some other week's going to be sucky. But despite that, we still have an awful lot.
Mm-hmm.
There's a teaching that the divine presence flees from anger. But that means it's also true that anger flees from the divine presence. They're like, two magnets that can't get too close to each other. And when we surround ourselves, when we open our eyes, when we stop taking all the abundance around us for granted, it lifts us up and it gives us energy to move forward. So let's see if you have something really quick. So we need to wrap up, but I see your hand is up here. Nope, okay. All right, so let's all close our eyes and finish the way we began. Ah, with a nice leisurely breath. And tilt your head back and open your jaw a little bit and smile. Let's let that life energy breathe into us. Let's allow that feeling of gratitude and companionship with all of these souls journeying together. Just enjoy that secure feeling of knowing that we are surrounded by so much, that we have enough. The world is created and sustained by chesed. And that each of us has the power to add to that. And feeling gratitude is one of the keys to unlock that door. And when you're ready, you may open your eyes.
Get a good sleep.
Well, thank you all so much for being
Wake up happy.
here. I am super grateful to this group. And next week, we're going to kind of go off the trail a little bit, and we're going to study generosity. It's a soul trait which is not in my book. I do have a reading which I will send around early next week for the people that are on the reminder list. And we'll see where it goes, but it just feels like in a unit talking about chesed, it feels kind of like the right next step as we go from gratitude to generosity. So wishing you all a great weekend, and I will see you next week.
Shabbat Wiki, can I offer a blessing?
Certainly.
I just want to offer a blessing. May the blessing of God rest upon you. May God's peace abide in you. May God's blessings illuminate your heart now and forevermore. Amen.
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 Thank you,
Thank you,
Haya.
Thank
That
you.
was lovely. That was really lovely.
Beautiful.
Thank you,
Okay,
everybody.
we'll
Thank
see
you.
next week.
Sending prayers and love, Joanne.
Till we meet again. Good to see you, Sue.
Nice to see you, Haya.